My name is David West. I am an assistant professor of art here at Belhaven. This is my 5th year of teaching. I think like a lot of our students who come through here, I was one of those kids who basically grew up drawing and also just being validated in that by parents, by teachers. I considered it sort of the only thing that I was ever really good at, and so I pursued it sort of naturally from that end. It never crossed my mind to think, now what am I going to do with this? I wonder one day what's going to happen to this. I did, however, had a lot of opportunities to teach fairly early on, both as an undergraduate and then up through graduate school, which was nice to feel that as a calling and to feel that as a gift from pretty early on as well. I think at the core of continuing to explore art, both through college and past college, there were a couple of factors that were really important. One is I did pretty early on enjoy teaching and felt like I was pretty good at it. And having opportunities for that and exposing myself to different situations which gave me some experience, and that was real encouraging. The other part of it, though, and this is something that we try to encourage here at Belhaven as much as possible, is just making sure that I've got a community of folks to help me process things and work through things and put things in perspective. Making art can be hard. It's not always something that you get a lot of encouragement and reward from people other than your parents from a lot of times. And so having a body of a community around you that can help you through that's very important. We try to instill that from day one here as well. One of the interesting things that I immediately noticed when I got here at Belhaven is the community aspect of the different arts programs. And each art program has its own personality and its own sort of flair to it. But there's a couple things that we do here in the art department that encourages that necessary community. One, we have our student studios upstairs, which is a great little petri dish of creativity and encouragement and human relationships on every level, which are fun to see happen and work through. But then on Fridays, we have our Friday meetings every Friday, which is a great opportunity for everybody to hear both all the faculty at once, to process different shows together. When we do have senior or group shows, to celebrate with each other and talk about good works and things that could have been done better. There's a couple things that we've got going here, I think, that work really well for building that dynamic of working with each other and relying on each other in a healthy way. The freshman drawing was one of our key classes we have here in the art program. We focus exclusively on observational drawing and very intense, in-depth, disciplined observational drawing. And really, before I started teaching these classes, that sort of approach to drawing wasn't really something I practiced a whole lot in the studio, just because I was more interested in other sorts of things. But since I've been here, it has really excited me to see the successes that our students have had and the joy they get in that sort of control and discipline and understanding of what their eyes can do, what their hands can do, be able to look out and see the world through their own specific experiences and then give that back to a viewer on a piece of paper. That has influenced me a lot, and since then, the last year and a half to 2 years, I've been doing a lot more observational drawing, which has been a lot of fun. If anything, it's almost a guilty pleasure. I do a broader range of work as well, with some printmaking and some non-objective, more expressive sorts of drawing. And that's a lot more work for me. That's the part that I struggle with, that I wrestle with ideas through, that I'm really trying to figure out what I think about an idea or what I think about a particular topic. But the observational drawing that I've been really having a lot of fun with over the last couple of years is almost a guilty pleasure. One of the things that I've been very surprised about, just from my own educational history coming into Belhaven, was just how important, not necessarily what I say to my students about their belief or how they interact with the world, both as Christians and Christian makers, but how that has reflected back on to me. As a believer, as someone who holds his faith very dearly, to stand up in front of a group of students and try to help them grasp and wrestle with how their faith affects their calling. How does that affect the way that they, as visual processors of the world, share that with others, especially in this very visually heavy culture we live in? It was really profound, and how that bounced back and sort of shone light even on my own approach and my own understanding of what that means to be. Art making is a difficult thing to teach. It is very process and life-based. The Christian life is a difficult thing to teach. It is very process and life-based. So there's lots of crossover opportunity there to share with students. Here is how you get to interact with the world as an authentic seer. Here's how you get to interact with the world as an authentic believer. And how those things come together and how they affect each other is pretty amazing. And I think the visual arts, at least the way that we do it here at Belhaven, have a very strong, there's a great opportunity for those things to be really tightly knit together. And I'd like to think that we do a good job and are continuing to figure out ways to do better jobs about making those things connected. As visual artists, we almost have, to me, a very easy way to speak about the way we make and the way we live, as well as what that does to how we behave and act in the world. We look to God as our model for making, and as people who also desire to make and love to make, we have the perfect example of how to go about doing that. One of the things, especially in our freshman drawing class, that we talk a lot about is looking for that evidence of God's initial spark of creation as we view the world, and looking for evidence of that still present today. And that's a really exciting thing to challenge students with, most of which, even if they've gone through reasonably good art training, or even gone through some sort of Christian education, that language typically doesn't get used a whole lot. And to be able to challenge them with, yes, I know this is something you're good at, I know this is something you enjoy doing, but it is so much more than that. This is a truly high and wonderful calling that we get to reflect the image of our Father in, which is really exciting and neat. One of the things, there's a couple things that make our program, I think, distinct and unique. One is our, I think, honest and authentic attempt to draw their attention to their role as maker being reflective of the role as God as maker. And I think that is something that should not be minimized. It's a very important point. But there's a couple other things in here that I think that we as a department do that make us unique. I think at our core, we do have the emphasis on correct seeing and correct sight. And there's a direct relationship there between faith and in viewing the world, but also a very direct relationship between any other art discipline you want to pursue. I mean, this is the visual art. We try to, from the outset, establish the goal of interacting, seeing, engaging with the world authentically and correctly. And having that as a base, as opposed to, okay, so you're going to be a painter, go be a painter. If you're going to go be a sculptor, go be a sculptor. We want you to be a seer. We want you to be an authentic seer, someone who can, no matter what medium they choose to pursue, has a base of sight. And looking at what we do, I find that having that sort of baseline allows us to have a very, very firm foundation to kind of go off into a number of different directions in, and gives us a place to start. And I think that does make us unique, that we do have this thing that all the different disciplines that we teach here kind of fall back on and can all point to. So a common core and a common goal for that, I think, is really useful.